Well, I recently did a few videos on modifying a Honda CG125 charging system. I thought it might be interesting to do just another short video about other charging systems on motorcycles. Now, this isn't the type of charging system like a modern car, like my Kawasaki W650 and my Ducati 900. They use a fully regulated 12-volt system where the alternator goes through a rectifier regulator and charges the battery, and everything's run from the battery. Ignition system, lights, indicators, absolutely everything, any accessories you've got and things. But I thought I'd go back and have a look at BSA Bantam. I used to have had a couple of Bantams over the years. The first one I had was a Bushman, a D14 Bushman version, which is the off-road version. There's no battery because it's the off-road version. And what it uses is a series of... series is maybe not the right word, it sounds like they're series parallel, but it has a set of coils, that's a better word, a set of coils, and the alternator of varying sizes depending on what they're going to be driving, and they match the load to the alternator winding. They're all earthed at one end, through that there to the frame, because it's a direct system, and it has coils for the tail light. There's a coil for the stop lamp, it's got a coil for the horn, it's got a coil for the ignition, and it's got another coil for the main lamp. But it just it switches in a coil depending on what's needed. You know, if you need the lights, it switches in the lighting coils. Simple as that. The ignition one's always on, so when you kick it, it fires up. But as simple as you can get, I suppose. The road version, the D14, has a battery, so the coils go through a full wave rectifier, so they're not earthed at one end. Both ends of the coils go into the rectifier. There's no regulation though. It still switches coils depending on the load. So when you bring in the lights, it brings in additional coils. The horn, the stop lamp and such like is just run from the battery. The battery under normal conditions is trickle charged. The ignition's from the battery as well, if I remember correctly. So really all it's doing is under normal circumstances where the lights are off, it's running the ignition and occasional use of the stop lamp and the horn. So it's a kind of a bit of a mismatch. If you're using the stop lamp more, you might be flattening your battery a bit, but if you're out in the open road, you could perhaps overcharge it slightly. And when you need the lights, you bring on the lights, and it simply brings in the other coils and sticks them into the rectifier as well. But it has an interesting thing on the ignition switch here. If your battery's flat, you can put it to what they call an emergency position, and it links all the coils directly into the rectifier, so they're all charging the battery without the lights on. Even if your battery's completely flat, a few kicks or a push down the road can get enough voltage to fire up the ignition system. And then, of course, once your ignition system's firing, it's running fine and charging fully. You need to remember to switch it off of the emergency position, or you can boil the battery. The CG125, Suzuki SB200, it's got a slightly different system, kind of hybrid system. In the line there, yeah. It's got fully rectifier and regulated system, but it switches in an additional coil when you put the lights on. So it's trying to match without even using the regulation part of this. The only reason I can think for it to do that is to just when you're running without the lights, is just to put less load on the rectifier regulator. So it's using both types of systems, kind of hybrid system. The CG125, which I don't have a decent diagram from, so this rough drawing. The unmodified version, it uses it's a single coil, single set of windings in series, and the alternator earthed at one end. Halfway there's a centre tap, and it comes off of there to feed the lights. Just simply, when you switch the lights on, it it's using that half of the windings. The charging system uses a small regulator rectifier. It uses it from the top of the windings and from the same centre tap up, yellow and white wires, and that's regulated 12 volt to charge the battery. I thought I'd just go through these systems just to show the differences. Some of the older Bantams use even odder setups. There's one here that it's basically a magneto. It calls it an ignition generator. It's basically a magneto, but there's also an alternator output to run the lights. But it has a 3 volt replaceable battery. This one's that. It's the D1, D3, D5, and D7. There's a replaceable battery of 3 volts to run a pilot lamp. Anyway, I thought I'd just do that little video just to show some other motorcycle charging systems. Can't find the book from my Ducati I was going to show as well, but there's not much point. As I say, it's a fully regulated 12 volt system. All the output from the alternator goes into the battery through the regulator rectifier, or rectifier regulator. Workbenches are not meant for cars. Well, they're meant for this car, she says. It's a good workbench. No? No, not saying much today.